everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today I'm going to be talking about my absolutely gigantic March TBR. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books. And I have way too many books of my March TBR, probably. So, for some reason, and I've seen a few booktubers talk about this in the past few days, there are so many booktube events going on in March. And you know me, I cannot resist a good readathon. And so I have made quite a few commitments. I'm going to talk about them as much as I can here, and I have tried really hard to stick to books from my actual overarching giant physical TBR, because in February there was a lot of library books involved, and yeah, I don't feel like I'm keeping up with the giant TBR, so it should be better in March, because I've only allowed myself to participate in these readathons because I have something to read for each of them from my giant bookshelf. Let's get stuck in. First of all, before we talk about the millions of readathons, it seems, I do have a few group reads and buddy reads to talk about. So the first thing that I will be group reading in March is Anne of the Islands by L.M. Montgomery. This is the third in the Anne of Green Gables series. This is part of an ongoing Annealong, which is being hosted by Emily at Novelle Novels and Gemma at Read a Book Gem, and they are reading, along with a large group of us, all of the Anne of Green Gables books in order, one per month. So we read Anne of Green Gables, or I reread Anne of Green Gables in January. We read Anne of Avonlea in February, which was lovely too. And now in March we come to Anne of the Island. So really looking forward to this one. Anne Shirley is getting a bit older now. She was 16, 17 in Anne of Avonlea. And in this one she's going to be going to college. So that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to reading this with the group. The second group read I've got going on is going to be Bring Up the Buddies by Hilary Mantel. So again, this is a read-along that has been ongoing, and we started with Wolf Hall in January and February. This is being hosted by Tori at Hufflepuff Discovery, Marissa at Blatantly Bookish, and Emily at Novelle Novels. And we read Wolf Hall in January and February, and we are planning to read Bring Up the Buddies in March and April. That will be my second group read for the month of March, and I'm really looking forward to this because I've just finished Wolf Hall and I really loved it, and I love the character of Cromwell, and I can't wait to see what happens next, because I've always been pretty interested in the Tudor period, but I've actually read comparatively little fiction about this time, especially not fiction based on the reality of what was going on in that time with Henry VIII. So I'm really enjoying this series and looking forward to getting into the second of the three books in Hilary Mantel's trilogy. The next group read is hopefully one of my only library books of the month, which is for AJ Dunn's Killer Reads Thriller Month Book Club, where we are reading through all of the thrillers that were on the Penguin. I think it was about top 60 thrillers of all time. And this month is one that I've never heard of. It is called Those Bones Are Not My Child by Tony Cade Bamborough. And I was hoping to have this to show you today, but I haven't actually been to the library to collect it yet. But my reservation has come in, so I will be able to read this in March. And I don't really know anything about this book, so looking forward to going into it relatively blind and finding out why Penguin thinks this is one of the top 60 thrillers of all time. I'm sure it will be very good. Almost lastly, in terms of group reads and buddy reads, we've got my buddy read for the month, which is going to be with the lovely Sandy from Ms. Reads a Lot, and we are planning to read What I Loved by Siri Hustvedt, which is from my giant TBR, yay. And I read another Siri Hustvedt book, The Blindfold, last year, and it was strange, but I really enjoyed it, and this is Siri Hustvedt's most famous book. It doesn't really say anything about it on the back. Apart from, it says, a love story with the grip and suspense of a thriller. It makes you ponder human existence with a peculiar mixture of stoicism and wonder. So this sounds a really interesting one. It's been on my shelf for absolutely ages since I rescued it from one of my mum's getting rid of piles, so I'm looking forward to reading this with Sandy in March. Also for March, before I get into the readathons I've decided to participate in, I do have at least 2 books left for my BookTube Prize reading. So I'm judging Group H in the fiction category, and I've read 3 and a bit out of the 6 books I've got to read. I'm hoping to finish book 4 by the end of February, so I will still have to read The Fortune Men by Nadifa Mohammed, and I will still have to read Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Dewar. I haven't got that one yet. I'm hoping to get it from the library, but if not, I'm going to have to purchase that one. Without any further ado, let's talk about the 4 readathons that I would like to participate in. And I think it's really important to keep in mind here the wise words of Shelley Swearingen. I was watching her March TBR video the other day, and she spent a great deal of time saying to us, if I had 100 hours, if I had 1,000,000 hours, here's what I would read. And I love this fantasy idea of a TBR, so please take this with a pinch of salt. I probably won't read all of these books, and certainly when we get to one of the readathons, I have got multiple options and I will choose something to read at the time. It won't be all of them. So yeah. One thing I definitely do want to do in March is March of the Mammoths. This is a readathon being hosted by Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse, Lukas at A Cruel Reader's Thesis, and Alex at Big Al Books. For this, I have already started my mammoth, and you'll recognise it because we've talked about this mammoth a lot. It's the most intimidating book on my bookshelf. I first made a video about this way back in June of last year and told you how intimidating I found the book Don Quixote by Cervantes. This has sat on my shelf for years. In June I embarked on reading it, and in June and July I did make progress, and I was still in part 1, but I got to part 1 chapter 20. I'm about 155 pages into this, and it has, apart from the notes, it has 982 pages, so definitely a massive mammoth. I'm going to join in with a group that is reading this, that is hosted by Roz at Scallydandling About the Books, and she's kindly set up a Voxer group to read this book with some other people. Hopefully that will encourage me to finish Don Quixote and get it off my giant TBR. I was really enjoying this so far. It's basically the tale of a completely crazy guy who decides that he loves tales of knights so much that he's going to become one, and he sets out on a madcap quest basically. He's very, very unusual, shall we say, and that is who Don Quixote is. So this is pretty hilarious, and I just need a bit of encouragement to get back on with reading it. So I'll hopefully read this a little bit at a time throughout the month of March, and that will be my mammoth. The second readathon going on in March is Middle Grade March, and this is hosted by Krista at Books and Jams, Katie at Life Between Words, and Amanda at The Curly Reader. And I am going to link all of these channels in the description box down below so that you can find them. I've got 2 books I want to consider reading for this, and they were both in my video about the books that will self-destruct in 12 months, and they are both books I've had since the 90s, the late 90s. So it's high time I read these 2, and we have The Woven Path by Robin Jarvis, which is quite large, but it is a children's book, so I don't think it will take me very long, hopefully. This is the first in the Tales from the Weird Museum series, which I think is a trilogy, and Robin Jarvis also wrote the Deptford Mice trilogy, which I also haven't read. So looking forward to trying that one. There are prompts for Middle Grade March, but I think mine are pretty much wild cards because I'm not sure that they meet any of the prompts. This is Memory by Margaret Mahy. one of the longest serving books on my TBR, and I really, really hope to get to this in March. So the third readathon is one I am also very excited about, and that is March Mystery Madness. And you know how much I love mysteries, you know how excited I was to read mysteries at Christmas time. Now it's March and it turns out we get to read more mysteries in March. So I'm very excited for this readathon. This was originally created by Lizzie Faye Loves Books and Troy Towell. And there are many co-hosts for this, so forgive me for rattling through them quickly, and I hope I don't miss any out. So we have Angie Rose Nomad, Cortagonist, Dices 19 Hearts, Elizabeth Tyree, Latin Lector, Pretty Brown Eye Reader, Remembered Reads, Steve Donahue, Storm Reads, The Beach Bum Bookworm, The Bookish Bryants, The Bookish Knitter, Janelle at Too Fond of Books, and World of the Sleuths. So the theme of this year is 2 by 2. This is my first time participating in all of these, by the way, because I wasn't on BookTube last year. So the theme is 2 by 2 because of the year being 2022. So I've gone to my bookshelves and looked for anything that could remotely connect to the theme of 2 by 2. And I found a few books, surprisingly enough. So the one that probably fits the prompt best is Second Wind by Dick Francis, because it's got the word second in the title. I have a lot of Dick Francis's books on my shelf, unread, that I need to read, and I absolutely love these. They're usually very quick reads for me, so I'll hope to get through this one. I'll also hope that if I read this, it doesn't send me off on a Dick Francis kick, because I have been known to read many of these in a row when I get into reading him. These are often about jockeys or people to do with horse racing or horses generally, because that was what Dick Francis did. This one is actually about a TV weather forecaster and a truly frightening accident. So I think there might be a hurricane involved in this one. I hope to get to that soon because these are really, really gripping. The second one I found was again on my list of books that are going to self-destruct in the next 12 months, and I picked this one because it has 2 timelines. So this is The Art of Murder, and I believe it's got a timeline in the 1800s and a timeline in modern times, and it's about a killer, possibly from the sound of the back, is to do with Jack the Ripper. So I'm looking forward to reading this one if I can fit it in. Another one I would really like to squeeze in is The Mousetrap and Selected Plays by Agatha Christie. This came up in the BookTube spin and I still haven't read it yet. This one seems like a bit of a stretch, but a few things. One, The Mousetrap is a 2-word title. Tenuous. 2, I have seen this play twice, so that's a 2 thing. And also 2 times 2 is 4, and there are 4 plays in this book. So getting steadily more tenuous, but I definitely would like to get to this month because this is an Agatha Christie I haven't actually read yet. Next we have Agatha Raisin, There Goes the Bride. I'll get to why I would really like to read this in a bit because it would fit for the final readathon I want to talk about. This is the final book I have on my shelf from MC Beaton, and it will probably be the final one I read unless, I don't know, maybe I was given some of these for free, because I think I have had enough of the Agatha Raisin character now. But this is book 20, so using artistic license quite a lot there. I found 2 other books on my shelf that potentially would fit the prompt 2 by 2. We've got a Ruth Rendell book because there's double letters in Ruth Rendell's name, The Secret House of Death. I probably won't get time to get to that one. And we've got another Josephine Tay called Brat Farah, which also has double letters in it and is a 2-word title. I probably won't get to those 2, so I'm not going to go into them too much. But as Shelley would say, if I had a million hours, maybe I would get to some of those. And before we leave March Mystery Madness, I did accidentally agree to a group read the other day. I didn't mean to, but I really want to read Mary Roberts Rinehart, and Janelle of Too Fond of Books is hosting a group read of The Breaking Point by Mary Roberts Rinehart, and I couldn't resist because this book is available online, so I've got an ebook copy, and yeah, I will be reading that in March, it seems. Oops. Final readathon I want to participate in March is Emily at Novelle Novels Birthday Bonanza readathon. and this is in honour of Emily's birthday. I think it's running for a week to 10 days in March. This has got 5 prompts, and I think I'm going to be able to fulfil 4 with the books that I've shown you here. So the first prompt was about gifts, so read a book that's been gifted to you. I've got Don Quixote, which was given to me by my brother for Christmas many years ago. The second prompt is all about friends, and it's about reading books with friends. I think you can see from the amount of read-alongs and buddy reads I've committed to that we can definitely count some of those towards the friends prompt. The third prompt is favourites. Read a book by one of your favourite authors, and of course we have The Mousetrap by the one and only Agatha Christie. The fourth prompt, which I don't think I'm going to be able to fulfil, sorry Emily, is childhood joy. Read a book that you loved from your childhood. I don't think I can fit this in this month. I'd love to say that Anne of the Island was one of those books, but I didn't read it in childhood at all. If I had a million hours, I would pick Over Sea Under Stone by Susan Cooper and read that as a childhood favourite. I don't think I'm going to get time. I really want to reread that though this year. Prompt number 5 was party time. Read a book about a celebration. I don't have any books about birthdays, but I do have a book about a wedding. There Goes the Bride. I will try and fit this in for Emily's birthday bonanza readathon. Whew, that was 4 readathons and some readalongs and some buddy reads. And it's going to be a very, very busy March of reading, not to mention the BookTube Prize. So that was my March TBR. Please do let me know in the comments down below what you are going to be reading. Please do let me know if you are participating in any of these lovely readathons. I know there are lots more lovely readathons happening in March on BookTube. I just physically can't get to any more of them. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you think I'm crazy, please do let me know. But yeah, I do like to try and give myself quite a lot of variety. And as I say, I will probably get to at least 1 book per readathon, but unlikely to get to many more than that because of the BookTube Prize reading as well. Don't forget to check out these lovely channels that are running all these brilliant readathons and readalongs. I'll link them all in the description down below, and I hope that whatever you're joining in with in March, you've got a great reading month ahead. That's all from me today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me again soon for another video all about books here on Alice in the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.